Hello, Superior YMCA. I am Jen, your Health and Wellness Director, and I'm here with Jill and Ashley. How are we doing today, guys?
Good.
Good. Can you sense their enthusiasm? They're like, and I just found out today from a staff meeting, we've been closed for 37 days today. So by the time this gets to you, it probably will be 38 or 39. So hopefully you guys are doing well and staying motivated at home. As you can see, we're like wearing hats and just scrubbing it up today, but we have a video coming after this that we'll be recording. So we'll be waiting for that 30-minute challenge that should be posted, I believe, on Saturday. So today we're going to talk about benefits of interval training to steady state cardio, kind of like the pros and cons of each and benefits for you moving forward. So do you guys have a preference to what you like? I know interval training is super trendy. Here's that word again. It's been kind of hot here for quite some time, that HIIT, high intensity interval training. And yeah, what do you guys have a preference to rather running on the treadmill for 2 hours at a time, or would you rather do 20 minutes of Tabata?
I'd rather do 20 minutes of Tabata, hands down.
Hands down.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not much of a steady state cardio kind of person. Well, I guess I shouldn't say I'm not. I've never tried, so that's the problem. I haven't tried. But I don't know. For me, it just seems very challenging to do just running for 20 minutes. Like, saying that sounds horrible to me. So, like, props to the people that are running on the treadmill for like 30 minutes. I can't, and I don't think I want to.
Or like hours. You see those people in the fitness room that are training for like half marathons on those treadmills or full marathons. I'm like, how do you stay on that thing for that long?
Like, yeah, I just don't have the patience. I get too antsy. I'm like, I need to do something else. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. I would like to, do a little more, like maybe start running, or I shouldn't say running. I should just start jogging first.
Speed walking.
I'm pretty good at speed walking, but I should just kick it up to jogging and then go to running.
I can hear Ashley now. She's going to make us feel stupid. There's a time and place for each one.
We were saying our personal preferences.
Yes, what's your personal preference?
Usually more intervals, because you can get a lot more work done in a lot less time. But I do enjoy like going for longer runs or like bike rides outside. But in like the gym setting, like you will not find me on a treadmill for more than a half an hour going at the same pace, because it's just deafening and like, I don't know, I can't handle, like, there's nothing to, like, I've tried watching shows, doing the like virtual where it like takes you through a path, and it's like, oh, it's been 3 minutes. How much longer do I have?
Yeah.
I don't know, just that change of scenery and like being outside and actually going somewhere and having to force yourself to go back to where you started, I think too, or like finish your loop or whatever it is too, is more motivating than like, I could really just get off the treadmill or the like bike whenever I want to, because it's just the floor and I'm inside.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think too, like that's kind of what, as we go into this, I'll kind of show you some of those benefits. But I think interval training, just because a lot of our classes are based around that, like that's where I lead to go to, because it is, again, a comfort zone. But I like the change, the, switch up between doing this exercise and you can do it for this long and you can do this. And then, we can kind of complain about 50-second intervals, but that's like nothing compared to being on a treadmill for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever you want to do. Sometimes I do like, for my personal preference, like that steady state, like you can kind of just go into almost like a meditative state. Like if you're not, I'm not saying that you're not pushing yourself super hard, but if you're on like a bike and you're going for like an hour bike ride, or if you're, lightly jogging on the treadmill, something that you can maintain for a long period of time. I kind of like that, because you can kind of shut down of like what's coming next, and you can just kind of get in the zone of how your body feels. So I do actually enjoy that, just because everything that we teach is so fast paced, like boom, 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 change, do this, now do that, now go over here and go there, which I think is good when you're wanting a super effective workout. And you only have like 30 minutes, like me this morning, you only have 30 minutes to get something done. Let's get most bang for your buck. But I kind of like the slower paced, that long, slow distance where you still get a nice big calorie burn, but it's time consuming, but it's a little more relaxing. But if you're looking for effectiveness, I would go towards interval training for sure, but definitely still fun to do something that's more like a nice long walk. I know, Jill, you go for walks every morning with your puppy. So, you know, and Ashley, you go for walks every day too. We're kind of switching that up. But a couple things here, benefits of interval training that we can kind of go through here. And I think the one that we all kind of just said just now with our stuff was like interval training reduces boredom. I think that's huge. You don't want to be on a treadmill or a piece of equipment for a really long period of time. And it's nice to challenge yourself in different ways if you're knowing that I only have to do 30 seconds of this, or I only have to do 30 seconds. So I think your choice in exercises might be more difficult too. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at my notes.
It's all good.
Yeah, and I think even too, if you're doing intervals within like just a cardio based workout too, like, you know, you're like, oh, I can sprint, you know, for 10 more seconds. I can sprint till I get to the mailbox. Like I can go this fast because I know it's only going to be this short period of time versus like, oh, I have this much longer to go. And then you kind of just slack off or don't, you know, maybe give as much effort as you could.
And to kind of moving on here too, HIIT offers more variety and excitement within your workout, which I think we mentioned that as well. Variety is huge if you're looking to get over like a plateau or again, just challenging your body a little bit different. And to the excitement aspect, I know a lot of people aren't like super excited to work out like the three of us are every single day, but even knowing that you can hear them count down, you got 10 seconds left, or the excitement of like, I only have to do burpees for 20 seconds. You know, last week she made me do it for 60 seconds. So appreciating those different time increments, I think too. What do you guys think about that? Variety and excitement.
Yeah. I know when I hear 10 seconds, I'm like, yes. I'm like, I made it almost. So I do like that, because who wants to sit and, you know, hold a plank for 60 seconds or do burpees for a minute? And so having that like change up is always is always good. Oh.
Well, and the fact too that it's like you get that countdown every little bit. It's not like you just get it at the end of your workout. You kind of get it constantly to kind of reinforce, like, I feel like what you're doing. And
it's easier. I was gonna say it's easier to convince myself to do something for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds, instead of being like, okay, we're gonna go for a 20-minute run. Like that's very hard to convince myself to do that.
I think with all three of us too, we've discussed in other talks and things too, like we're very task oriented people personally. So I think when, you know, for intervals, you have 8 rounds of this or these 4 exercises or whatever, we're task oriented enough to be like, awesome, 1's down, 7 left. Now I have 6 left, 5, 4. I think that's really that's very satisfactory. What's the word I want to use? Huge satisfaction. It's been a long day already and it's not even noon. It's very satisfying to like know that those things are getting accomplished. And even though you might have another round after that, that 1 round is done. So I think with intervals too, that's really definitely pushes you to kind of keep moving, because you can actually keep track of what you've completed compared to like using like a rep challenge in a boot camp setting where you're just going straight through for a full 60 minutes or 50 minutes. And you're counting like 30 reps of this, 40 reps of that. Like you're just kind of mind boggled. You don't really quite know how much you have left until you're counting down the clock of the class, not necessarily your actual work. Another one of the notes on here was interval training increases post-exercise energy expenditure, which I think is kind of interesting and motivating to hear as well. What this means is your calories that are burned following your exercise. So there could be a potential to burn more fat, through these workouts too, because you're continually burning calories once you've also completed, which we've talked about that a little bit with the strength training too versus cardio. But anytime you can burn extra calories, I know like we're like game for that. So that might be a little contradictory too, knowing that you still burn a lot of calories when you do like a steady state exercise. But we'll compare those when we get there. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I like it. I like that happens.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of gives you to like I don't know, I don't feel like it's drained, even though you're doing maybe higher intensity, then you have a break, then you have higher intensity and then a break. And so like just not having the monotony, I think too, of like the steady state, like you're obviously there's a biological reason why your energy might be a little higher afterward, but I think it kind of gives you like that motivation to like go do other stuff throughout your day because you're not like so burnt out from it. It's usually not as long either.
I think too, and before I lose my train of thought, this will be kind of a little like segue, but we'll come back around. When I trained for my one and only half marathon that I did, I was teaching like so many classes, and the reason why I didn't like want to run again or really train before I did was that it's a huge commitment. And for all of you that are runners out there, you know, that takes a lot of time to prep for your run and feel confident in the times that you're getting. I couldn't factor that into my schedule. I could do one long run a week and that was it. But I taught a lot of interval-based classes, and I think it really benefited me to train for that run. I didn't feel as much pressure to get out and run. My recovery was much faster because we're training our body to like work and then rest and then work and then rest. So even though they would tell you probably to train more in a steady state for doing like longer distance things, it actually still benefited me on the recovery side. I felt very prepared and was happy with my time for the race as well, considering it was my first one. So I think that they kind of go hand in hand, but kind of talking about, you know, if you're burning extra calories past that point, I think the recovery that you get when you start training, which is down in my list here again too, that endurance that you build like doing that style of training, I think is, you notice that a lot more in my opinion than doing like a steady state. You see progress with steady state, but with intervals I think you can actually notice your cardiovascular endurance increasing, your strength increasing quicker because you're only doing it for shorter bouts. So moving on to the next one here, which kind of is in the same zone here, stimulates the respiratory system, cardiovascular system, and nervous system to a greater degree by doing interval training. Therefore, more fat and carbs may be burned to support the expanding energy demands of the body during and after an intense exercise. So, want to branch off on that a little bit, Ashley? Throw it right at her as soon as we got some body systems in there.
I was like, you better not come to me with this.
I don't know. I feel like that answer or that like benefit is very, what is the word I'm looking for? Physiological.
That it is.
Well, because if you look at like your energy systems and how they work, and I mean, we kind of talked about it with like the strength versus cardio type of stuff too, and what energy system you want to be in and burning, and how long it takes when you're doing steady state cardio to get into like a fat burning zone or things like that. You're gonna see, I don't want to say like faster results, but you're not gonna have to spend as much time, you know, doing an interval based, as long as you're doing high enough intensity to get those benefits, whether it be your like VO2 max, your like cardiac output, like your heart's getting stronger, it's outputting more blood for, you know, every beat, and you're burning more fat than you would, you know, so all those things kind of come back into play when you're, as long as you're hitting that, like I said, like hard enough intensity levels, you're not just like half doing it and then taking rests.
Yes. I think the one thing that we need to kind of specify too, like with Tabata, I know that we teach a lot of interval style classes, but those shorter, like the legit Tabata classes, which the 20-second intervals of work, the 10-second rest, they are designed to work that 20 seconds to absolute fatigue and then recover for 10 and do the same thing on round 2, which I will in a classroom setting for a lot of our participants. And I want to even say, as an instructor, you know what's coming. It's just natural to hold back. It's natural to know that I have to do this for 50 minutes and I know that I have to do 8 rounds of 20 seconds and she just told me I'm gonna have to do 2 rounds of burpees in a row. Like your brain kind of puts in a little reserve knowing that you have to get there, but that's not the point. The point is for that 20 seconds to go until you cannot complete one more, get a little recovery and do the same thing on that round 2, which isn't gonna be the same as round 1, but it's your max at that time. So when 4-minute round, you're completely wiped. You earned that 1-minute rest, which I know I don't give you rests, but the reason why I don't now in classes is because these classes, you guys are getting used to it. You're holding back, you're putting in a little reserve so that you can withstand the whole class. That's why breaks become non-existent, because I'm trying to like play that mind game with our members too and say, I know you can work harder and you didn't work hard enough here to earn the minute rest. So we're just going to keep moving forward. So when you are doing intervals, and I just wanted to mention that because with what Ashley said, with making sure that you're getting to that intensity, you make sure you're getting to that intensity. And when I work out on my own, I'll tell you flat out, I'm not getting to that intensity. So it's really pushing yourself mind over matter just for that time frame that you have to really go all out to make sure that you get the most bang for your buck. It's not just doing jacks for 20 seconds and then you could go sing a song in the 10-second rest and then go do it again, right? You want to be like at the point of like barely catching your breath, like. So anything else that we kind of want to branch off on that?
I mean, I think this will probably lead into at least like kind of what I've been reading with this and going, once we go into like the steady state part of it, but knowing that like high intensity exercise isn't for everybody. And like, that's why we're talking about why there's benefits of both things too, because like we talked about the stress on your heart and your lungs and your energy systems, like that's not, I mean, for those of us that can do it, it's awesome and has a benefit, but you have to look on the flip side of not everyone's able to do that. And so what are our other, options? Because obviously if you have a medical condition where you shouldn't be having your heart rate that high, or, a myriad of other reasons, I think, to just know that like, oh, well, this sounds like it's better than the other one or whatever. And it's not necessarily true for everyone, but I think if you're able, like we said, to get that higher intensity, it is going to benefit you tremendously. But if you're not, like, it's okay. There's other options.
Yes. Well, and I think too, knowing that it's very individual, because obviously even the 3 of us, if we all were to do a round of jumping jacks right now, all of us would do a different pace, all of us would do a different version, and all of us would do a different like number in that 20 seconds, and we would all feel different at the end. But that's what's kind of nice about interval training, is that it's really geared towards what you're looking to get out of it that day. And I know that we always say that, like, this is your workout. You get out what you put into it. I know for you, Ashley, too, right now being pregnant, your intensity would be completely different today than it would have been 6 months ago, or would be in 5 months. So, and same thing too with you, Jill, on your fitness journey. 6 months ago, you maybe were doing this many jumping jacks in 20 seconds, and now you've been able to double that, or maybe you're doing power jacks instead. So I think it's a fun way to see progression, but it's also a nice way to know that it's just your body. It's what you want to work in that time frame. And we've been teaching Tabata style workouts to our silver sneakers. So kudos to our silver sneakers out there if you guys are listening to this as well. And taking that chance for them to do, we used to do 8 counts, like we would do 8 jacks and then 8 knees, and it would just be progressive that way. But now these groups are doing way more than what they were doing before, and just making sure that they're listening to their body, but also challenging themselves too. So it is a good point that Ashley made, that remember that it isn't for everybody, but you can always make it for you, whatever pace you want to do. You don't have to match the instructor, or, or even do the same intensity level. It could be a different modification. So Moving on here to the next one on my list. Oh, this is good. This is going to go back to Ashley with her physiology. Increases the activity of enzymes included in fat burning. So right over to that college grad over there.
I didn't get that book out.
It was just information again, you guys. We found the stuff. I found the stuff online. I just Googled, just got some good information. And some of them I write down because I think it's kind of interesting even for myself. Nothing is black and white. Again, do your own research moving forward. I can't tell you what kind of enzymes they are. It just says that it increases the activity of your enzymes that are involved in burning fat. And so anytime we can burn more fat, thumbs up.
I can only think of one, and it's really bothering me because there's more than one, but can only think of lipase. Don't remember.
That was exactly what I was thinking, right, Jill? You too, right? Yeah.
Well,
It's the only one we can think of too.
They all end in ace.
Yeah.
So, and then
I pretend I know that.
like fats are lipids, so like lipase, it kind of makes sense.
Moving on to the next.
Yep.
Let's see here. Oh, and you did mention your VO2 max earlier. This, again, causes a greater increase in your VO2 max. And all of our personal trainers out there, we kind of know for the rest of you guys or that aren't maybe as big into athletics, things like that, it's your aerobic capacity is what that VO2 max is. Do you want to kind of branch off on that at all? Or is there more, I don't want to say a simplified version to explain that, but I mean, I went through my personal training and it's not really a terminology that I use either, like every day. So,
right. I mean, it's basically what you said, being able to increase what your maximum aerobic capacity is. So whether that's in, like you never really hit your VO2 max if you're doing a steady state cardio workout, but when you're doing a higher intensity interval type of workout, you can hit, that because then you're getting a recovery, but it's not something you can maintain. Like if you're running a half marathon, a 5K even, you're not able to maintain your maximum output of oxygen throughout that half an hour or that hour or that 2 hours. It's just not physically possible. But because when you train in a higher intensity environment and you're pushing that threshold every time you work out, you're able to increase it versus it can take a little bit more time when you're doing that steady state because you're not really ever pushing at it or towards it, because steady state's usually like 70% or less because you're still able to talk, because typically your steady state's, like we said, longer period of time. So it does help to increase that, which is going to help with your, like you said, when you're training for your half marathons, kind of the same thing I did with my marathon, just with teaching so many classes. I only ran long distance once a week. But I could tell that my training from the intervals had increased my aerobic capacity because I was still increasing my miles, every week and being able to still accomplish that.
That's good. Jill?
I have nothing to go off of.
She's like, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yep.
Well, nobody really knows what their VO2 max is anyways, because you have to have like a machine to calculate that. But pretty much at the point where you can't really go any harder.
Mm-hmm. The last thing on here on this list for benefits of interval training was better time efficiency, which I really agree with. I feel like you can get done in like 20-30 minutes what you could in like 60 to 90 minutes probably, just depending on like the exercises or whatever. But again, there is a time and place for each thing and what you're trying to benefit and work towards. But I think the time, a lot of people in our busy schedules, like we want something that is short, sweet, and super effective. And so intervals is kind of that go-to, I think, for a lot of us, helping to reduce that boredom. I think if anything that I take out of this list that motivates me to go that route is I don't want to get bored. I want it to be really effective. And who doesn't want to burn more calories potentially, right? I don't want to say you're going to burn more calories. You burn calories, you just got to be active, period. I don't think necessarily like really comparing like 60 seconds of burpees to 20 seconds of burpees 3 times is like ultimately fair. Maybe we should try that today. I'm just kidding. If you guys are bored and you want to see what your calorie burn is and you have a watch, because I don't, do 60 seconds of burpees and then do like 3 rounds of Tabata to burpees and tell me if your calorie burn is the same. Right?
You got to take a break in between because you got to let your heart rate recover completely. Otherwise,
yeah. Yes. 2010, 2010, 2010, right? Anyway. So moving on to our steady state, my list is significantly smaller of benefits though for steady state.
Wow, I'm just kidding.
As you can tell, our favorite is definitely the intervals. The number one thing that they said on the internet,
Webs,
which I don't like, they said is beginner friendly. I think that any fitness can be beginner friendly, and I don't even like the word like beginner or newbie or anything like that.
A newbie is bad. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like any of that stuff. I think that Tabata actually is a really good, and interval training is a really good way to start back into fitness, because you can do as much as you want and you see your progress.
Right.
So beginner friendly really isn't my favorite words, but how do you guys feel about,
do you think maybe they think more of the simplicity of it? Because I do know like one thing that I think deters maybe more newer people into fitness with the interval type stuff is like if it's confusing, if there's too many exercises, if they don't understand what the exercise is. And you're in that group environment sometimes too, that can be like a little intimidating because you just don't feel like you know what you're doing, but you're like, hey, I know how to walk, I know how to bike, I know how to run. So like that, I think maybe the simplicity of it, like, oh, all I have to do is hop on this machine and do this same thing for 30 minutes and then I can be done, instead of being like, I have no idea what's going on and I feel like I look stupid and whatever.
You're probably right. It's 5 weeks into quarantine. Still, I still don't think beginner friendly, but yeah.
I like the terminology, but that's the only, I like you said, I don't see from like a physical standpoint really like
I'd almost say it's hard
standpoint that it's,
but I do think like the simplicity, like you said, is probably exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties and Miss Ashley is frozen in time.
You're frozen on my screen, so
you're frozen on my screen. Okay, so moving on to our next one here. It promotes recovery, like for a faster recovery.
Oh, she's back.
Hey.
What did you miss?
The recording.
I don't even remember. I think I'm just saying that the simplicity is what the benefit. I don't know.
We'll move on to the second one and you can just edit that right out, however that works. Promotes recovery, a faster recovery.
Oh, actually you did say that before it cut out, but it's okay. I couldn't remember. Then you were starting to say something else though, because I was like, I don't really quite understand what they're referring to.
To promotes recovery?
Yeah.
I don't know either. Again, they say. But I think too, maybe like you're going to have a faster recovery because it's like you said, you're only using 70%. So like you're really not pushing yourself to that extreme. So like the next day you could totally probably do it again, where I'm still sore from 2 days ago. I can barely walk. So I think, and I did like intervals. So I think too, maybe that's part of it, is like your recovery is faster because you're not putting as much intensity into your workouts. So it's like you said, you've been talking the whole time, you're using about 70%, and you could just do it all day and then turn around and come back and do it the next day. So maybe that's kind of what they're thinking too, is it's a good exercise that you could keep repeating and doing. And you might be a little sore if you're just kind of getting back into fitness, but it shouldn't really maybe put you out a ton unless you're like running. I'm sure you're going to be sore from running, but like I think biking or swimming or something like that. Yeah. What do you think, Jill?
Yeah. Quarantine's getting to me. It's really getting to me. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind.
It's okay. Yeah. Stay tuned for our next couple talks about how you're staying sane, being stuck indoors for another 5 weeks. Again, you had mentioned too on here, Ashley, it's a great, like you can talk, right? So it's a great way to be social. Like if you need motivation to get out and work out with people, I notice a lot of talking side by side on treadmills, you know, groups of people out running together. So you can still talk and be connected. You shouldn't be able to talk during a Tabata class or a boot camp class. You should be sucking air the whole time and doing it again, right? So you should be able to, I think when I see people in class too, if you just get done with a round and you turn and start talking right away, like you obviously could have done more. And that's when I take away your breaks. But you should just be able to nod and barely drink your water. And like, and as soon as I'm like, we're doing it again, you should be like, holy crap. I mean, that's where we want you to be, to push. But if you're looking for more of a social aspect, I mean, this, you know, steady state is probably a good thing for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Great endurance, great endurance booster. So I think too, training your body to do something for a period of time is just going to help build that endurance. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, I think if you're, like we said, the intervals can help you train for things, but ultimately if you're going to go run that longer race or bike that longer race, swim that longer distance, like you got to actually practice what you're going to be competing. Like that's, I mean, when we talk about specificity and other things, like what are your goals? Like if you're only doing intervals and your goal is to run this distance, and that's way longer than you've ever run because you're only ever running for 30 minutes at a time, like, you know,
yeah,
you got to also train for what you're specifically trying to accomplish, I think. So it does have its place.
I think too, like endurance, being able to, especially for us, I mean, I think a lot of instructors that teach more than one class a day potentially too. I mean, we have really good endurance too, and the recovery to go in and do it again. And a lot of it, I think, is mental. I do see a lot of our members coming back 2 times a day, and they're working really long sessions at the gym, whether they're doing 2 classes back to back or they're doing, you know, a weight room session. They come back for a fitness class at night. They might be outside running or they ran to the Y. So I think too, like just allowing them to complete everything that you want to complete within your day, whether it be fitness related or just your daily, you know, active living. Endurance is huge. Otherwise, I think too, like you had mentioned earlier, though, like this helps endurance, like to boost your endurance. But if you did a training session and you went out and ran 10 miles, I would be wiped for like the rest of the day. I would rather do, you know, an hour and a half of like interval training to equal what the hour and a half or 2 hours it would have taken me to run the 10 miles, you know, instead of to compare the two. You will maintain muscle mass. Do we want to elaborate on that a little bit? What the difference of that would be? I guess too, like you don't want in certain situations, like if you're working out too hard, you don't want to be burning muscle, like to past your point, you want to be able to kind of maintain your muscle mass. I don't really know too much about that. I know that there's been some gentlemen at the gym that have attended some of the fitness classes and are like, "Oh, you're gonna burn my muscle. Like I can't work that hard." And like, I guess I'm kind of confused at when they say that. So,
well, yeah. So, I mean, you have to be doing like an extended amount of high intensity interval training for that to be the case where your body literally doesn't have enough carbs and fat for you to continue to burn calories, so your body starts converting protein into glucose or glycogen for you to then burn as sugar.
Mhm.
So you are essentially, I don't like when they say like you're burning muscle, because it's not that direct, right? Like you're not like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm doing this for a
Yeah.
certain amount of time, my muscle is now shrinking, or like that. Yeah, doesn't make sense to me. But you are taking away the building blocks to keep that muscle, you know, the size that it is, or to increase it. So it's valid, but I don't think many people ever, you know, they're not doing high intensity intervals for an hour and a half, or they're not maintaining that high enough intensity to get to that point, typically, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
I know I should watch what I say. I think it's just because they don't want to do my classes. So, calling you guys out there. It helps to build up your aerobic fitness, which again is true. Just being able to increase your heart rate and just anything will build up your aerobic fitness, in my opinion, too. So, and this is kind of something that I had mentioned earlier, is promotes a focused mind state. So like your state of mind, if you're able to like get into the zone and just go run to get rid of some stress, go for a walk, a bike ride, something like that, that you don't have to think. Use your coordination, right, Jill? She loves like jack high shoulder taps from the start week. But yeah, so I think I like the idea of the steady state being like a time to really kind of tap into your brain and kind of de-stress, and kind of take some time to think. And maybe there's some things going on in your life, like right now would be a great example for people that are wanting to go for a run or get out for a walk with friends. Something like that that you can do for an extended period of time. Enjoy the nice warm weather. I know we went out to the Millennium Trail a couple days ago, and it was just like packed with people. So it was still kind of chilly, but it was sunny. It was cool to see a lot of people out there. Everyone was being super friendly, which is awesome to see, saying hi. But doing that kind of getting out, relaxing a little bit draws me more towards that steady state. But how do you guys feel with like a mental focus? I know some people run to release stress. Like, what do you guys what's your go-to?
That's kind of why I want to get into running, is to kind of have that focus where you're literally just focusing on completing that run and getting into it, forgetting everything else. So that's kind of why I want to run. Otherwise, that's what my walks are for, unless there's other dogs that we see, because then I have to try to, hold back a 90-pound dog. So that takes me a little bit out of my focus, or he'll just pull me all over the place. So
yeah, I definitely haven't used it as much as of late, but I also don't even know if I could run at this point for a very long period of time without having to come home for various reasons. But I do find it pretty, like, a lot more mentally fulfilling, and I think like being more focused and energized afterward too, and like feeling like my mood is like more uplifted than like feel a little more drained after, higher intensity kind of workout. And I think too, like being outside while doing that run or that bike or rollerblading or whatever is really helpful too. And I know like physiologically too, it's just like less stress physiologically too. So I think you don't feel that like exhaustion necessarily that you feel maybe after you've done, a workout where you've put all of your energy out there. You still have, you have that energy to have that mental component with the physical component. So gotta get those endorphins.
Get those endorphins. That's good. Yeah, so kind of with that, we can kind of wrap it up here and just kind of throw it out to you guys at home, and maybe put in the comments, what are you drawn to right now? Are you drawn to the interval training classes? Do you like more of that steady state? yeah, how have you been motivated? What do you like to see? How do you personally like to work out? I know we don't get a ton of interaction on our wellness talk videos. I hope you guys still enjoy them, and we would like some conversation as we go forward with some of them. But even though you might not like the topic, guaranteed you're gonna laugh probably 2-3 times in the middle because it just gets weird. It's really hard to stare at yourself in a computer like this and see your face in front of you. I thought a mirror was bad. This is bad. So yeah, I hope you guys took some information out of this and maybe kind of some understanding of like what your goals are, where you are going to reach towards, and maybe to doing more interval stuff at home or once you get back to class to really push yourself, and why those intervals are so effective when you do them the right way. And then same thing with that steady state, always having a time and place for those exercises as well. Ladies, do you want to add anything else?
No.
Just like, it's weird. It's so weird. I'm just so done with this being at home thing, right?
I am. I really am.
We hope to be back to the Y soon. I know we still have this stay-at-home order through the next whole month. I know this has been another kind of a struggle for me this week. Yesterday was a little, not quite rock bottom, but I was getting to the lower rocks there. So back up at it today. It's going well. A little better today, at least. I'm so excited for the challenge that we have coming soon for you guys later this week that we get to record just after this. These girls are not excited, but they will be soon. Yeah, I think it's just we're all really antsy to get back to our normal routine of some sort, whatever that looks like. You know, I know we had talked earlier in the week too about different ways of like staying motivated and our motivation and how that's looking right now, and accountability, being that the first month is now done and we have a whole nother month to go. Like, we're not really quite to that halfway point. In my opinion, I don't think we're quite to that halfway point, but just to try to stay positive as best as possible and learn something new, and create some new exercises maybe for yourself or a new workout routine. That's kind of been helping me right now, switching things up as well. I'm trying to get as creative as I can with new stuff for you guys at home and for things to go back to once the gym does reopen. I know all of us are kind of in a different transition with, you know, Jill, you're doing more yoga and meditation at home and spending time with your puppy, which is priceless, let's be honest. You know, I have to share this. I think it's so cute because you leave the TV on for your dog when you're gone, just so he has some place. And now you get to take that time to like bond with him. And I know it might not be what we want to be doing, but it's still, it's priceless. I mean, I'm sure he just loves having you there. My cat is in his bed again and hasn't moved for like the last 2 hours. And my bird bonding has been going good, for those of you that know that I have birds. You know, it's a landmark when I can actually like pet one of them without them like, you know, chomping at me or flying away quickly. So, and to actually being able to take the time to actually be pregnant. I mean, I don't, you know, and well, I
mean,
that's like
we
the
just
wrong
kind of
thing.
are.
Maybe that's the wrong thing, but you get to like enjoy it, right? I mean, there's a lot of stay-at-home moms out there, which is great, but you get to actually enjoy this end process because you're going to be due soon. And a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I have to go to work, and especially your job being so physical, it might have added more stress and taxing to your body that isn't necessary. So there's always a blessing in disguise somewhere. We just have to remember to see it every day. And I know yesterday was a struggle for me, but today it is sunny. It is nice. Way to start my day. Talking to you guys, talking to these girls are keeping me grounded the best I can. So, and I bought a bird feeder, a random comment here, so I can feed my birds outside, not my indoor birds. And I'm feeding a squirrel. And I thought about putting him away when he was eating out of there, but you know what? He was fat and beautiful, and I just let him eat all of my seeds. I took plenty of pictures, but then I did decide to move my bird feeder so it wasn't so accessible. He still found it today, hanging upside down, and proceeded to open it and dump all the seeds out on the ground. You know what? It made me smile. It was super fun. And it probably made his day. And I know a lot of people think squirrels are so destructive, but during all this time, there's a lot of negativity out there. I'm just going to let him eat it and enjoy it. And um, I made a comment to Justin yesterday that I wanted to buy a bat house. You heard it right, a bat house. They eat mosquitoes. So, and just kind of thinking about different ways that I could kind of connect with like nature a little bit more and be outside and, you know, planting flowers or planting flowers that will draw butterflies into your yard or birds into your yard to feed them, or the squirrels, whatever comes. And to like, I know a lot of people don't like bats. I'm a crazy person that skulls all over her house, and a black cat, and bats are kind of right up my alley. So who knows, you might have to drive by my house and see if I attach like bat houses across the back. Who knows? But find all those little blessings during your day and keep smiling. We'll be back before you know it, and we'll forget about all this chaos, and we will be missing the time that we had at home with our pets and our family and our couch. So
My couch is uncomfortable, so
yeah.
I'll be excited to like not sit on it.
Not sit on it. All right, you guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, put some comments on the bottom here. Let us know how you're getting through this time. We look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Share these videos. You never know who's going to help. It's helping us continue to work so that we can keep bringing them to you. So it's a well-rounded circle. So let's be there for our community, be there for you guys, be there for us. We thank you for all that you do. We look forward to seeing you guys again soon. We'll see you soon. Bye.